Click. No.
We're live now. Yes, we are. We are live on Leslie Chambers, Kaiju Reviews. Yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, it's been a minute since the last time that we saw each other, almost like a month. So we hope to bring you a great show. It's more so of a laid-back conversation, quite frankly. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of topics. We're going to talk about some X-Plus-related topics. We're going to talk about Godzilla King of the Monsters, since it celebrates its 1-year anniversary right now. Or tomorrow, I should say. So we're going to have ourselves a great time. So let me do my whole Steve Harvey thing and do the whole introduction. Of course. I love you. Yes, my beautiful wife, Sandra Chambers. Say hello.
Hello.
All right. My great friend, my fellow Godzilla YouTuber who's been down for me since day one. Yes. The Godzilla Files, man himself, William Fett. How you doing, sir?
Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing today?
No problem, man. Thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. And of course, my main man from Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes, the man who patrolled the mean streets of Cincinnati, Ohio. Phillip Frazier. You may know him better as Phil the Kaiju King here on YouTube. What's up, Phil?
What's up, Leslie? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's staying safe.
Yes, we're trying to stay safe. We're trying to just just have we're trying to maintain a good spirits because this week has been kind of hectic in more ways than one. We're not going to delve into that, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try and just have a good time and just try to put some smiles on your faces. That's the point of these live streams anyway, just to put some smiles on your faces. So let me finish my introduction. Excuse me. Making his first appearance here on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. Yes. You may have heard of the awesome website Kaiju Battle, where we get a lot of information on upcoming movies, collectibles, and all that good stuff. The man behind the vision, the man himself, Michael Farrah. How you doing, good sir?
Hey, Leslie. Thanks for having me on. And hey, guys. And hey, everybody out there in TV land, so to speak.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of
You're welcome.
Of the show. Because like I said off air, we've heard of you, like we've seen you on the Facebook groups, whatever. We have definitely seen you like on my show and the Collect on Monsters show.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got the face with the name. So it feels good to have the face with the name. And like I said, you've always been a great guy. Your website has provided great information for the longest time. And in fact, you're just so super cool and supportive. It's no brainer why I wanted to get you here on the show. So thank you for being a part of this discussion.
Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. The fact you guys use me on Collectible Monsters for news and stuff like that, I think it's great. And I really appreciate that.
No problem. And not last, because we will be joined momentarily by my other great friend, great YouTuber, Matt Jacobson, but you may know him better as Gojira 851. He'll be joining us momentarily. But last but not least, my other great friend, yes, fellow Godzilla YouTuber, Butch Bollinger, also known as Batista, but you may know him better as Brutazilla. How you doing, Butch?
Good. Always glad to be here and always have fun on these things. Thanks for having me, and hope everybody's staying safe.
Yes, we're having a great time. At least trying to have a great time, and we're going to have a great time, quite frankly. So the first thing, like I said, what we're going to talk about in this discussion or this show is just more of a laid-back conversation. We don't have like a set format or anything like that. It's going to be like a laid-back, chill. Just a couple conversation topics that we will dive into. Like I said, we're going to talk about our thoughts of Godzilla King of the Monsters 1 year removed from the film's release, since it does celebrate its 1 year anniversary tomorrow, May 31st. Then we're going to transition into X Plus collectible related news. And then towards the tail end of the video, we're going to circle back and talk about King of the Monsters some more. And then we're going to make somewhat of an announcement regarding our plans for what would have been this upcoming G-Fest weekend in July, and hopefully y'all will be excited about that. But But before we go into those topics at hand, I want to at least ask all of y'all, what have y'all been doing in your downtime since the last time that we seen each other? So how we're going to do this, we're going to, William, you go first, then Phillip, then Butch, and then Michael, you'll chime in, and then Sandra and I will chime in on the tail end. So William, the floor is yours. What have you been up to since the last time you've been on the show?
Last time I've been on the show, let's see. I've actually started watching, believe it or not, I restarted watching the Godzilla Showa series that came out on Blu-ray from Criterion. I actually just started rewatching them in the Japanese format. I'm usually more of a dub kind of guy. I actually prefer the dubs over subs, only just because, like, when I watch them, I'm watching them for entertainment. You know, they're something I kind of turn off my brain to and kind of just sit back and enjoy. But I've been kind of watching those, and it's been good so far. As far as my channel goes, I did a collection video just recently. Considering I haven't done one in a couple of years, it was just crazy to see how much it has grown in, you know, a very short period of time. And I'm actually working through a lot of my backlog of figures that I ordered that are now all of a sudden just all coming in all at once. Usually on my channel, I try to do different things other than figure reviews, but because I have so much stuff coming in, I'm actually kind of what I'm focusing on right now, because there's a lot of cool stuff, and I really wanted to review a lot of different figures. If, for example, right now I have this flying Gigan that I'll be talking about hopefully next week, and I'm excited to kind of just talk about it because something that I've been waiting for a while, because it's something I had my eye on. But other than that, I've just been enjoying life, working nonstop. Healthcare field hasn't stopped since all this has been going on, but, you know, enjoying everything else.
Cool. That's really cool. How about you, Phil? What you been up to?
Well, it's been a lot of time at home working, of course, but spending a lot of time at home. My overtime's been cut off, so I get a lot more time at home with my girlfriend. We watch a lot of TV. There ain't nothing to do to go out, and I'll pull a video out about once a week on my channel. Usually it's a review of an older figure, because I've only had my channel about a year, so I'll go back and look at figures I've had in my collection, and I play some video games here and there, and just spend time here and try to stay out of the craziness that's going on and try to stay safe, and that's about it, really.
Understand that, my man. How about you, Butch? How about you? What you been up to?
Just been working a lot, and like William, I've been watching my Criterion collection of Godzilla Showa films. I think recently I watched was it Ghidra, Monster Zero, and then Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and Terra Mechagodzilla recently, and just watching random monster movies that I've had in my collection that I never really watched, that I've seen but never really got a chance to watch them, like them and what was it, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, random movies, catching up on them. And I've recently started collecting the you guys are familiar with the Match of the Gathering set, like the new Godzilla cards that come out. I've been recently collecting them, and I also got lucky and managed to get the one that everybody, the most controversial one of the set, Space Godzilla, Death Corona, and well, I don't know if I should have said that on YouTube, but anyway, other than that, just been chilling mostly, besides working. Oh, and also this weekend would have actually been that Kaiju Con in my hometown, the Kaiju Con Omaha, but they had postponed it due to what's going on, and apparently they moved it to September. So September, maybe I'll have looking forward to a convention here. Who knows, you know, but yeah, other than that.
Yeah, I understand that, man. It's kind of a crazy time going on right now, but once again, we're here to just kind of take your mind off that, for a while. Since the last time we've been together, a lot of stuff has been going on along with the, out there in the world. G Fest got officially canceled. We'll talk about that later on. But before I go to Mike, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Let's see, Scotty Haddon, Eric Kaufman, Tim. I'm not gonna say your last name because you told me about this on Facebook, but Tim, you know who you are. Oh, Sandra Chambers. Hey. Let's see, A.T. Khan, yes, my Colette All Monsters family is in the chat. David Erdopko, Kaiju Cast, Kyle Yount. Yes. Oh my God, trust me, you have not heard the last of those names. Trust me on this broadcast. Kaiju Battle, hey, right there. Christopher Fielding, one of my earlier supporters, been down for me since day one. Thank y'all so much. Really do appreciate it. Mark saying yang, yeah, what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah, Mark. James Newell, thank you so much for being a part of this. We do appreciate it. And I feel like, because we have pretty much the same people that show up for these streams that I do. And it's like, we're like a little small family here. So thank you so much for still tuning in to see what we do. We really do appreciate it. You know what I mean? We really do appreciate it. Making his first appearance on the show, of course, you've heard of the awesome website Kaiju Battle, where you get like the latest information on these awesome movies coming from Japan, kaiju wise, collectible news, all that good stuff. But this is the man behind the website, Michael Farrah, making his first appearance here on the show. Thank you. Woo!
Thank you.
So, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Like the other guys, working. Trying to keep busy with that. I obviously try to do everything with the website and keep up on all the latest, greatest stuff so I can post it. Continue to build the databases that I have on there with the figures and all that, and stuff like that. I've actually been also buying a few things, I guess, being bored at home. Like one thing you may have seen. This is the Dope Pope Gappa. Mm-hmm. This thing is really nice. I mean, it's a little smaller than I thought it was, but I was like, wow, detailed. This thing is nice. I was like, wow. Shout out to John Legrand, if I'm saying his last name right. He did a great job on painting this thing. So, cool.
All right. So thank y'all so much for being a part of this. Part of the discussion. We really do appreciate it. Of course, my better half. And you know what? Before we go to Sandra, I gotta ask you, Michael, since you're the newbie in the room, you're the new guy on the show. What was the first kaiju film that made you a Godzilla fan, or just a kaiju fan in general? And then tell me, what is your favorite Godzilla film of all time?
I would say it had to be King Kong versus Godzilla, because when I was younger, and I think David and even John Ruffin had mentioned this on Collectible Monsters, they used to have the marathons on Thanksgiving and stuff. And I remember, watching those, and I loved the movies, in that. So if it had to be a Godzilla film in there, it was King Kong versus Godzilla as far as that part. As far as my favorite, I don't know if I truly have a favorite. I mean, the original one has always been it's the original. So, but I don't think I have a specific favorite. I like a lot of them. So, but the original one is always that special one because it's the first. That always happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't have any favorites, you know what? Because you know what, we've been through this the last time with John Stanowski when he came on the show. He couldn't pick out a favorite. We had to dissect it for him. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, so hopefully we can guide you into your favorite. Because there's really only one you should pick, right, William?
Yep. There's only one right answer.
Because between the five of us, of course, mine and William's favorite is the best Godzilla film, Mothra vs. Godzilla. Sandra would disagree and say DMK is the best. Rick would disagree and say that 1984 is the best. Phil would disagree because he would say, I think his favorite is 74. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right. So, Who do you like better for us like Godzilla? You like him as the villain, the hero, or the force of nature, Michael?
Force of nature, I would think. So the first film, and probably like Sandra said, GMK, because he's just like.
All right. Leslie, cut him off.
Okay.
Sold. No.
What's that thing that goes on that guy who sells us stuff? He's like, what's that little caption that comes on when somebody buys something when they bid on that show?
So
no, but he has that little Godzilla.
Happy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a happy moment.
Happy moment, yes. Happy moment.
Happy moment.
I mean, but
Next thing. Move on. Yeah.
yeah, but no. If you really sit down and think about it, Godzilla was a force of nature in GMK, but he was a serial killer too.
Oh, he's still the baddest suit out there. That is the baddest Godzilla out there.
Okay, so Michael, your favorite by that determination is GMK, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
I will say one thing though.
Michael.
I'd kind of root for the underdog. So, Godzilla's great, don't get me wrong, but I kind of like Gamera and Kong too. Like the original Kong and the Gamera films from the 90s. Those are like always been stuck, up there too. Okay. Even though I love Godzilla too, obviously,
But your favorite of all time is GMK, which is fine. As you know what, Kyle, he's in the chat right now. He fluctuates in between Monster Zero and GMK as his favorite. So it's my favorite from the Millennium series. So I can't fault you for that. It's just ironic that out of all the Godzillas represented here as our favorite film in this panel, we all chose the villain except for Phillip. He's the only one that chose the goofy superhero one.
Superhero. That's my childhood. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, don't apologize for loving Godzilla. Every version of Godzilla is awesome, except for the 98 in the anime. But we ain't gonna talk about that on this show. We're not gonna
Oh man.
I'm gonna go to my better half. Of course, my wife, beautiful wife, gorgeous wife, Sandra. I know what she's been up to because we live together.
Yeah.
So, but all seriousness. If you can go to Collect All Monsters YouTube channel, please. We just did an interview that just got uploaded. A couple of things uploaded recently. Excuse me. Kyle and I did a chat involving our giant Gamera 1999 figures in our collection. I had the Prime One, he has the Max Factory, and we were like doing like a face-off between the two in a comparison video. So please check out that video. It's on the channel right now. And we did a spotlight to Sandra and her personal figure collection, because she does have a personal figure collection, even though, like I said in the video, since we're married, basically everything else in this room belongs to her. So I just want to ask you now, Sandra, how did you enjoy doing that video and now seeing the positive response from that video?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I really did. I had a great time. The positive feedback has been great. I'm not really much of a talker, but I like what I like, and I'm very vocal about it. So,
I'm glad you had a good time. And once again, it was a proud moment for me to have you a part of the show. Like I told you, when I talked to Kyle about it, he was like, man, let's do it, And like I said, the responses I've gotten from people saying that they enjoy that you're not only a fan because I got you into it, but you're a fan in your own right, that you were a fan before I even met you. And it comes across on screen. So just thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I mean, a few things to gather from that video. Basically, for one, her favorite figure is gigantic GMK. Don't watch the 98 Godzilla film.
Nice.
And Jeremy Souls, he's in the chat right now. If you can make an X Plus gigantic series Hedra, please make that happen.
yeah.
It'll make sense.
Yes, it will.
That'd be cool.
So, but as far as myself, haven't really done anything except for like I said, my duties on Collect on Monsters, which is a blast. Let me just say this on behalf of my co-hosts, David, Christine, Kyle, and John. Since we're like almost a halfway into the year and we've been doing this show, thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for involving yourselves in the Monster Showcase with the hashtags and supplying your pictures and just really being a part of the show. As I told Kyle on so many different occasions when he asked me to be a part of this project, I felt honored, you know what I mean? Because I've always looked at the Kaiju Cast as the best podcast devoted to Godzilla. Nothing against the other podcasts that are devoted to Godzilla and giant monsters, but I always looked upon as the Kaiju Cast as the best. And when Kyle was talking about he was starting to move on and start to move into more video projects, and when he approached me about this project for Collect on Monsters, I even said this, you know, quote unquote, I was like, look, I felt like NBC News was coming to tell me to be a part of their organization, you know? And that's something I really do take seriously. And I'm sure the rest of my co-hosts do. So I want to say thank you, Kyle, and the rest of my co-hosts for making Collect on Monsters such an awesome show, as well as everybody that has provided us with great feedback, provided us with your images for the Monster Showcase. I can honestly say that so far it has been a success. That show has been a success, and it could have been done without y'all. So thank y'all so much for being part of that. We really do appreciate it. Now, let's transition into another topic. DavidEb.co, I'm so sorry. Because I know you love the film that we're going to talk about in the next couple seconds. But it's a good reason I want to talk about this film. Because tomorrow, May 31st, marks the 1-year anniversary that Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019, courtesy of the Monsterverse, came out into theaters. So I want to ask my fellow co-hosts, how do you feel about it now? Do you still love it? Is it still up there, you know, as far as like one of your favorites? Do you find it overrated now? Has the honeymoon phase worn off? So like I said, we'll go from William to Phillip to Butch to Michael, then to Sandra and myself. So William, go first. Your thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019, a year later.
Well, I'll say this. I haven't watched the movie in probably 5 or 6 months. I haven't really had a desire to go watch it recently. You know, I have been watching Godzilla films, but I haven't really had a desire to see that film. It's still a good film, in my opinion. I think it is enjoyable. I think it's a perfect entry point for anyone getting into Godzilla. I don't know. It's hard. It's a weird thing. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I think it's bad in any kind of way. It's just, you know, there's things about it that still don't work. I think, you know, the human characters still don't work. The storyline still doesn't really work all that well. But I don't know. I haven't had a real interest in watching it again. So, you know, that part, you know, is unfortunate. But it's still entertaining. If you're looking for a good time, I would still recommend it, especially, like I said, for people that are new to Godzilla. I think it's a perfect entry point because you get to see Rodan, Ghidorah, Mothra, and, you know, they kind of explain who they are through the film. So that it's actually very well done that way. You know, unfortunately, there's still things that I don't like about it. The whole fighting in complete darkness for most of the film, you know, or in some kind of storm or anything along those lines, still doesn't really work. But I think you get good character development in the monsters with Ghidorah being so, you know, have so many personalities. You know, that's one thing that I really like. The monsters all have personalities in this film. But still enjoyable. Not my favorite. Still isn't one of my favorites. You know, maybe it's in my top 15, maybe top 10. But still a good Godzilla film overall, though.
All right, Phillip, what about you? How do you feel? You still love it? Is it still up there with you? What's the deal?
Yeah, I like it. It's a roller coaster ride from the beginning. I mean, they delivered on what people complained about from the 2014 movie. Not enough kaiju, not enough Godzilla. They delivered all that in the movie. Yeah, I agree. The human story's pretty weak, and there's some pretty lame stuff in there, actually. To be honest, some lines and stuff, but it delivers for me. I mean, it's got some fantasy elements like some of the Heisei movies had with Mothra saving Godzilla. Basically, I mean, does Godzilla win without Mothra's help? I don't see him winning that fight because Ghidorah was laying it on him in that movie. I don't see Godzilla winning without Mothra's help, and there's a lot of aspects in it I do like, but the human element is very weak. The story is very weak, but I went to see the monsters. To be honest, I just did. That's what I was wanting to see, and I think they designed all the monsters very well. The most impressive one to me was Mothra. Actually, I was surprised, but Mothra, I liked the design. I liked her scream, how they portrayed her. I think they did very well. I think Rodan was really dissed in that movie, just my opinion. So I didn't like how they did Rodan, but I did enjoy the movie. I still enjoy the movie. I just look at it as a roller coaster ride from the beginning to the end.
How about you, Butch? I know that this film was really, really up there with you.
Oh, yeah.
It almost came close. I know it came close to toppling the 84, but it just missed it by a hair. So a year later, how do you feel? You still love it that's the same, or has it fallen off a couple notches?
Oh, I still love it. If top 5, it's definitely number 2. I could watch it anytime, and whenever it's on TV. HBO's actually been playing in. Before I did the live stream, I was actually watching on HBO a little bit ago. But yeah, every time it's on TV, I try to watch it, and I just love the movie. It made me appreciate King Ghidorah more, and I think King Ghidorah. I think this is probably my favorite King Ghidorah now. I used to love the original Showa, but now I think this is probably my favorite King Ghidorah. And every scene with the monsters was beautiful, especially Godzilla. The Mothra's awesome. I love all the designs. I love Rodan's aerial fight with the jets and stuff, how he does the barrel roll and stuff. It just kind of reminded me a little bit of the original Rodan when he fought the jets in the air and stuff, kind of like a little throwback to that. And yeah, I just love the movie. Definitely top 2. I don't really care for the humans in it. I guess the only one I care for besides like Ken Watanabe, Dr. Serizawa was probably, I guess, the dad, I guess. That was about it. I forgot his name, but yeah. Still love it and watch it all the time it's on TV.
How about you, Michael? How do you feel about Godzilla King of the Monsters?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. I was glad they brought in, Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah. It definitely, they definitely did a great job with all of them. I'm going to echo everybody else. The human characters were kind of like, you didn't really care as much about them and, really get them as much. But the monster stuff was great. So, you just had to get through the human stuff to get to that monster stuff. And I thought that was really great. I definitely enjoyed it. And I still enjoy it when I do watch it. It's a good movie. It's not maybe the best, but it's definitely, a good movie to me.
How do you feel, babe, about King of the Monsters? You still feel the same, or has it fallen off a little bit?
Well, I'm gonna sort of take like what Phil said. I love the monsters. I think they look really good. I did not feel the orca in that movie at all. That just kind of
really,
yeah. I didn't really care for the orca. I did think that the 2019 Godzilla, I liked his mannerisms better than the 2014. Like I said, when he walked, he was shrugged his shoulders, moved his shoulders more. I thought, that figure, the way they portrayed him in the movie is really good. I like King Ghidorah. That was the most beautiful King Ghidorah I've seen. Really, I just really liked it myself because it had, like you said, personalities. It had three heads, 3 personalities. It's like meeting somebody's bipolar. You just dealing with, multiple people. But I put stuff for you. But so unfortunately, kept the head off and it grew another one, but it's all good. I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful monster. I loved Rodan. I think they did kind of slight Rodan a little bit. Mothra, I had a hard time enjoying Mothra because she was too bright to me. I just wanted to see a little bit more color instead of all the, bright lights and everything. I wanted to see a little bit more color in her. But like with you, Phil, I kind of like, Mothra saving Godzilla. I just kind of wasn't really feeling that right there, or love story, whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
That was just like, I'm like, really? Yeah, that just didn't work for me. But I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. It's probably, it's probably dropped down a little bit because I do like the older films better, but I do like the monsters did look better in the 2019, especially Godzilla. I like Godzilla a whole lot better. From the 2014 to 2019, I would take the 2019 for sure.
A lot of people have said that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I guess I feel the same way as I did last year. It hasn't really risen nor dropped for me in terms of how I look at it. Don't get me wrong, I love the film. I enjoy it. It's not in my top 10, but it's a nice, enjoyable flick. I think, as I mentioned in our Monsterverse video, between the three films, I tend to go towards Kong more because Kong had the perfect mixture of great acting from the characters, in my opinion. You had a good mixture of kaiju action, then you have human action and stuff like that. I feel like King of the Monsters is like nonstop, and I have to be in a certain type of mood to watch a movie like that where there's always something going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, I don't feel any different as I did a year ago. We had a good time, and I remember to this day, because that particular day we went to the Alamo Draft House to see it. We took our grandkids to see it, and just seeing their faces lit up, because in the Alamo Draft House before the movie came on, they showed like old school Godzilla trailers and old school Godzilla commercials, like the Cheerios commercial and stuff like that, to get us pumped for Godzilla. So it was a fun ride. It really is a fun movie if you really think about it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I prefer the older ones. That's never really going to change, no matter how many updated reboots that they do. I'm always going to be a Showa guy through and through. But it was a nice updated. I guess companion piece is kind of a strong word, to be honest with you, but it's a fun nonstop ride. You see what I'm saying? I just like, and if you don't like the film, that is perfectly fine. I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling that way. But one common criticism that I see a lot of folks give this film that don't like it is the fact that they say, you know what, it's not too realistic. And the first thought that pops into my mind when somebody says that, I'm like, you probably have not seen the Showa film, have you? You have not seen King Kong Escapes. You have not seen Monster Zero. You have not seen even Mothra versus Godzilla. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, that's my favorite movie. But the plot of that film is not too realistic. And I think that is the charm of these films, the fact that they're not realistic. A giant monster film is not realistic. Once again, if you have gripes with the film, and that's totally fine. If you don't like the human character aspect, if you don't care about the family aspect, that's fine. But the point jabs at this film for calling it not too realistic, when a good majority of them are not too realistic, and that's the charm of it, I think it's a bad criticism. But through it all, I still enjoy Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like I said, it hasn't risen or fallen in my view. I still watch it every now and then when it comes on. Once again, I think Kong is better to digest, All I know is that Godzilla vs. Kong better bring their A game, because as a wild ride as King of the Monsters was, Godzilla vs. Kong better step it up, and hopefully they will. But we shall see about that.
Well, we know Kong's gonna lose anyway, so
You going there for real?
Ooh.
yep.
What? No.
Smart.
No.
Okay, you know what? Let's dive
Let's
into
do
it. Let's dive
Let's
into
do
it.
it.
I know I'm going for Kong. David in the chat's going for Kong. Phil's going for Kong. Sandra's going for Godzilla. William, obviously, with your hating comment, you going for Godzilla. But I want
Oh, boy.
First of all, I'm gonna get my digs in. First of all, monkeys don't swim. Okay, Godzilla is king of the monsters. He's king in the water. He will burn that monkey down.
You got to catch him
I
first.
know. So.
Got to catch him
So,
first.
your
Don't
opinion-
matter.
I want to say this. Kong was king first.
Yep, he was the original
Wow.
But
king.
he ain't the king of the monsters.
So, in your opinion, Kong has no chance.
I didn't say that. I mean, they're gonna make it entertaining. Entertaining, yeah. I mean, you know,
They gotta give you Kong fans hope.
Oh, man.
Oh my God, William's cutting us
So,
deep.
So, Butch, you going for Godzilla, right? You going for Godzilla,
Yep.
right?
Godzilla. Yep.
Yeah, but
And you know what? That's the whole point. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I have been vocal about Kong for God knows how long, and me throwing shade at Godzilla, I have my whole reason it is that a lot of people tend to think that it's going to be a cakewalk, that it's automatically assumed that Godzilla is going to win. I'm not saying you feel that way, but a lot of Godzilla fans do. A lot of Godzilla fans, even to this day, even after watching the classic where Kong basically somewhat won, they still come up with fan theories on why Godzilla still won. My whole point is like this.
It's a draw.
Kong may not be the kaiju that Godzilla is. I get that. He may not be the kaiju that Godzilla is. But to think that Kong has no chance, I think is doing Kong a disservice.
well, I didn't say he wasn't gonna have no chance. I'm just saying he's gonna be entertaining.
It's going to be entertaining. But I'm just saying, like, for those Godzilla fans that think it's going to be a surefire cakewalk that Godzilla is automatically going to win. Because let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, considering what they're building up,
It better be good. That's all I can say.
it better be good. But
yeah.
but with what they're setting up, I mean, it's kind of like a common thing amongst us Godzilla fans. It's not going to be just Godzilla versus Kong fighting the film. It's going to be more so into that. At least I hope they are. In my opinion, it should be Godzilla versus Kong. This is the rematch we've been waiting for God knows how long. And let's find out. Will Godzilla get his win back? Will he kill Kong? Will Kong beat him again? Let's find out those answers. But I think they're going to throw so much into this one film to try and just, create the best film they can. That I think that this is kind of like the end game for the MonsterVerse, even though we don't know if they're going to continue it or not. If they do continue it, I'm fine with that. But if they don't and they end it with Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm fine with that too. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, the first thing is that it's not Godzilla getting his win back because it was a draw back in 62.
There you go.
Just because the big ape was swimming away doesn't mean Godzilla lost. Because then we would have to consider Ghidorah winning because he flew away at the end of Invasion of Astro Monster. But no, I think honestly, I agree with you. I think they're going to throw everything into this film. I think in some ways this is going to be the end of the MonsterVerse. If it continues onward, that's great. But I do think they're kind of looking at it as a way to kind of end the whole entire series on a high note. And I hope they actually do that because I do think the MonsterVerse has been actually a pretty successful cinematic universe, all things considered. So many studios have tried to do this, and Godzilla and Warner Brothers seem to have succeeded. And we've seen Warner Brothers fail at this already with the DCU. Universal tried it with its Universal Monster, I think Dark Universe, that was out for maybe 1 movie, 2 movies at most. So I think, hopefully everything will be successful with that piece, when they finally get everything done.
But you know what? I got a counter to that. You said that by Kong swimming away and we don't see Godzilla again after the film, that doesn't necessarily mean that that Godzilla lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You said that, right?
Right? Yeah.
So I guess that means in the next film when Godzilla falls in the water and we see Mothra swimming away. So I guess that means Godzilla still won, right?
No, I mean Godzilla was beat by 2 moths.
You can't have it both ways.
He was wrapped up in silk. It's a totally different falling in. There's a whole entire different. I can keep this going the whole entire stream, Leslie.
Sorry to change the whole thing. Sorry.
No, you're fine. All right, Phillip. So what do you think? Should they continue the MonsterVerse after Godzilla vs. Kong, or should they end it?
I want it to continue, but I feel like it's the end. My opinion, it's probably gonna be the end. I feel a team up. I hate to say that, but I feel a team up coming on. I don't want to give any spoilers, but there's gonna be a team up. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want that. I'm like Leslie. I want Godzilla and Kong. Maybe some little kaiju that they beat off real easy, kind of interfere, but I want Godzilla and Kong to fight, and that be it. And as far as 62 goes, Godzilla was in full retreat mode toward that cliff, running from Kong. Put that building between them. So I'm sorry, but Godzilla was in retreat mode, scared to death of Kong. That's my opinion. He was running from Kong. Kong was chasing him. So,
well, that was that's all.
I got to pull for Kong. He's the reason I into all this stuff with the original Kong. That's why I'm pulling for Kong. But I feel a team up. I hate to say that. I don't want that, but I just feel like there's a team up coming.
Listen, Phil, I mean, you're allowed your opinion and everything like that. I mean, it's wrong because obviously. But no, it's good, yeah.
I don't understand with Godzilla fans. It's like Godzilla fans have no problem with Mothra beating Godzilla, but when you throw off if you even say or even hint that Kong won in 62, people just get outraged. I don't understand that. I mean, the way I look at it, like, does Godzilla's reputation change if Kong did win? Because when you look at the fight, okay, it wasn't a straight beat down on one over the other one. The first part of the fight, Godzilla had the upper hand, then Kong got a separate second win, and then he got, hit the upper hand. So, like what William said, it was really a draw. It really was a draw. One didn't have an advantage over the other one, in my opinion.
Pain in Leslie's eyes as he
but
said
that doesn't mean that. But that doesn't mean that because it was a draw. I look at it like a fight. I look at it like a boxing match where one fighter gets like 10-10-10 and the other fighter gets like 10-10-9. So it wasn't like a devastating defeat. It wasn't like, what Godzilla did to Hedra or did to Mechagodzilla. It wasn't like a straight up obliteration. So I think the fact that Kong kind of got eked out a win doesn't really change Godzilla's reputation, in my opinion. I mean, that's just how I look at it. And to be perfectly honest with you, I love underdogs. And let's face it, Kong was the underdog in the film. Godzilla was the villain. I'm a Godzilla fan through and through. But, I try to look at things from an objective place. But before I get sidetracked, Michael, what do you think? Should they end it after Godzilla vs. Kong, or should they try to continue it?
I would like to see it continue. They've built enough story in this whole thing so far with the backstories and all. I would love to see it continue. I mean, I don't know how they're going to exactly do that, depending on how Godzilla and Kong ends. If they're team up or whatever, like, Phil was saying. But I would love to see it continue. I think there's enough storyline there that they can, start bringing other stuff into it. I would love if they could somehow bring Gamera into that. That would be like kind of cool. Of get the big three in there somehow. That would be really awesome. But I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but that would be cool. But I really hope they do. I mean, I've enjoyed this so far. Hopefully, Godzilla vs. Kong is good. So, it'll just continue that momentum, forward with this.
Before I get to Butch, I want to say bye to Kyle. He's about to bounce. Thank you very much for being a part of this discussion thus far, man. Really do appreciate it. Once again, thank you for helping me out with the whole Gamma thing and helping me out with the whole Sandra thing. Thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you real soon. Of course, over 9K's in the chat right now. Liam Foley, just a lot of people in the chat right now, just chatting it up and having a good time. Chris Lewis, of course, Mark San Yang, Vincent Dawson, yes. So, Butch, how do you feel? Should they end it at the Godzilla vs. Kong, or should they try to continue it?
I think they should continue it because even though this could end it, like you said, end game wise, I agree with Phil that I think there is going to be a team up and with Godzilla and Kong, and I think that leaves open to like more movies being produced. And I mean, they could do more with Mothra and Rodan and all the other monsters like the Behemoth, the new ones that were made at the end. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see, like, if we don't see it in Godzilla vs. Kong, what they were going for with the King Ghidorah's head at the end, at the end of the credits. Like, what are we going to see? What was, there has to be some meaning to that as to they're going to do something with that head, so I'd like to see it continue, but I think there's going to be a team up, and I think I don't know. I kind of want to see a team up, I guess, but I kind of want to see them fight as well, but I don't know. And then I guess if we're talking about the original Showa King Kong vs. Godzilla, I'd have to say, even though I want Godzilla to win in this new one, I have to say Kong won the original because to me, it was a one-sided fight. Like, Kong was the underdog, and Godzilla was just beating him left and right. And then until Kong got the power up from the lightning, I think that's when it actually became an even fight. And that's when near the end, I agree with Phil also, Godzilla was kind of running away from Kong because in that movie, his weakness was lightning or electricity. And I think when they fell into the ocean, obviously water conducts electricity. So obviously when they fell, I think Kong was like, since he was grabbing him, I think he shocked Godzilla, knocked him out, and then that's what allowed Kong to swim away.
And you told me that theory before, and you know what? I have no problem really believing in that, because if you want to talk about continuity, that kind of would explain how he was able. Because in my opinion, Godzilla had to been close to shore at least a little bit for him to be swept up in Mothra vs. Godzilla. So I kind of subscribe to that idea that when they fell in the water, he shot Godzilla, and Godzilla probably knocked out. Now, if that happened, it's not like Godzilla fled because he was afraid. It's just that it's one of those situations. Like what happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Remember back in the day when he fought Bret Hart WrestleMania 13, and he technically lost because he passed out, but he didn't really give up on his own. I look at Godzilla, King Kong Godzilla like that where he didn't really give up, but he just was able to get knocked down, and Kong was able to really eke out a win. But it wasn't like a solid beatdown where we saw Kong beat down Godzilla, where Godzilla could not continue to fight. It wasn't like that. So in defeat, kind of like what they do in wrestling, even sometimes when you lose, sometimes you could look strong in defeat. I think that's what happened with Godzilla. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in losing to King Kong, in my opinion, as long as you look strong in defeat. And I think that's what Toho did, because Toho had to pay, I think, RKO for the rights to use King Kong. But as I mentioned many times earlier, I don't think RKO was like, look, you can have Kong, but he can't lose. So I bet Toho was like, okay, how can we film this where we can make Kong appear that he won, but not have Godzilla like a punk because of it? And I think that's what we got as the end result of King Kong versus Godzilla. So that's how I feel about it. So before we go any further, sorry, Matt, didn't mean to neglect you for so long, but Matt Jacobson, your 851 is in the chat, not in the chat, but on the show. How you doing, man?
What's up, Matt?
Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with William. He just disappeared. I'm gonna try and get him back. But Matt, before you came on, our first topic was we're talking about our thoughts to Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019, since tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of the film. So now I have to ask you, do you still feel strongly about the film as you did? You know, because I remember you telling me when you first saw it, and ever since then, that it's your favorite Godzilla film. So now here we are a year later. Does it still hold up? Has it fallen a couple notches? Do you find it still entertaining, overrated, whatever the case may be? How do you feel about Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019?
I still love it. I actually went out of my way to download more apps because I actually have it on digital and I have it on disc. So I actually went out of my way to download more apps so I can have it on my phone, my laptop, so I can watch it, you know, wherever I go, rather than needing just the disc. So yeah, I've got it back. Plus all the figures I've been getting because of 2019. Yeah, love it. I still love it. I popped in the other day, go and start watching it, and I still had all the same feelings I did while watching it the first time. Maybe not exactly, because that was like awe-inspiring the first time I watched it, but I still, you know, seeing him burst from the ice and fight King Ghidorah like he did, kind of like in the '91 film, which is another one of my favorites. You know, just all the hair on the back of my neck just stood up and loved it, and I still love that movie.
Now, going by what we were just talking about you know, Godzilla vs. Kong and whatever, do you want the MonsterVerse to continue after Godzilla vs. Kong, or do you feel like they should just make a all great in-game-ish type of film with Godzilla vs. Kong to end the MonsterVerse?
See, I'm torn on that. I think there's more to do with the MonsterVerse. I feel like this is an apex, like a plateau where they can reach, but they can go a lot further as well. I'm a little worried about ideas. Like someone in the chat said that they were talking about, not talking about, the idea of War of the Gargantuas being remade. I really shudder when I hear that. In a way, yes, to see it with modern day technology, yes, that would be cool. But the storytelling for War of the Gargantua was just so good, and for them to redo that, it just, see, Godzilla leaves itself open to different interpretations and different ways to go forward. You know, we've had, you know, the 50s, you have the 60s, 70s, 80s, all these eras all had something different. Then we go into the 2000s, and we go into the anime. And then we have the other films as well. You know, there's always different movies, so you can always do something new with Godzilla. Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas, they feel like such well-crafted stories. I don't really see how they could, quote, improve on it, even technology. Plus, if they do it over here in the States, I really shudder as well to see who you would get to be, you know, the doctor, you know, his assistant, you know, see who they would actually pick to be the Titans, the monsters as well, Gyra and Sandra. So in a way, you know, I wanted to stop the Godzilla vs. Kong, but I also want to see it go on because, as it was brought up, Ghidorah's head. If they don't do anything with it in Godzilla vs. Kong, I have a perfect idea for that. Destroya. Because it was infected with oxygen destroyer cells in the ocean and floated in that side of the ocean. So that head being able to regrow and it mutates into Destroya. And if they could have like another Godzilla vs. Destroya type movie, would be interesting. Also, I'd like to see a Kong Skull Island 2 where a very full-grown Kong fights a full-grown Gorosaurus in a rematch. We're talking about rematches from King Kong Escapes. I know you like that, Leslie. So I'm kind of torn on that.
But see, here's the thing. Like what David said in the chat, you know, they shouldn't, in my opinion, War of the Gargantua is one of those films where they shouldn't touch. War of the Gargantua is like Jaws to me. They shouldn't touch Jaws. They shouldn't remake Jaws. The same thing with King Kong Escapes. As goofy as that film is, and yes, I know that the Kong suit looks like a cocaine binge bearskin rug. I get that. I understand that. But I just feel like that they shouldn't. Those are classic. Yes, it may not be appealing to a lot of people, but they're appealing to us, and we're still a large enough niche group where certain, in my opinion, certain classics should not be touched. And War of the Gargantuas is one of them. King Kong Escapes is one of them. Although I understand your idea and I feel it, but I do feel like, and I'm like you, I'm torn too, whether they should continue or in the MonsterVerse. I'm fine with either one, quite frankly, especially considering what I think Michael Daugherty, whatever his name is, director of King of the Monsters. I think he made a tweet talking about that he would have loved to do a Godzilla film BC, where we see Godzilla in prehistoric times. I would love to see something like that. I really would. But at the same time, I think with Godzilla vs. Kong, this is something that has been like 60-something years in the making. And like I've been saying for the past 20 minutes, it should be like an Endgame-ish type of story. That should be the film that should end the MonsterVerse. So I don't feel like, I feel like they should put like another film in between King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, but obviously that's not the case right now. Because I think they have built the MonsterVerse on two foundations, Kong and Godzilla. And I think it's kind of hard to have the MonsterVerse without one of them. So if Godzilla kills Kong or Kong kills Godzilla, it's going to feel kind of weird for the MonsterVerse to continue without one of them. So in my opinion, they kind of put themselves painted into a corner where they may have to end it. Quite frankly, that's how I look at it. I don't know how y'all see that, but I don't know. It's just one of those situations. Hopefully hopefully we'll get a trailer real soon or whatever. But for those people who are wanting a trailer, just be patient. You know what I'm saying? The world's kind of going through something right now, so please be patient, and they will get us a trailer. And I think it's going to be an awesome film. I really think it's going to be an awesome film. I don't know where William is. Hopefully he'll come back. But before we go to the next topic, which will be the X Plus, we're going to collectibles now. The X Plus 30 centimeter 1975 Godzilla. This guy just saw a reissue yesterday for what we saw yesterday or the day before. We're going to talk about this figure. But before we go into that, Chris Lewis asked me in the chat, do we have anything planned for the virtual G-Fest idea that we floated online? And let me just say this. I don't want to give away too much because right now it's in the planning stages. While we can't really call anything official G-Fest wise, I know myself, I'm planning at least 2 projects that I want to do that weekend. I know I'm going to do one at least on Saturday, and I'll probably do the other one on Sunday. It depends on how we're going to coordinate the shows and stuff like that. But yes, I'm in talks with Kyle and a couple other people, and we're going to definitely do something on that G-Fest weekend. We're going to try and do it where our shows are not really overlapping each other, because that's kind of been like the issue with G-Fest, or I guess issue is a strong word. It's a thing with G-Fest. If you go to G-Fest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They can have a whole list of panels, great panels devoted to the movies, collectibles, stuff like that. But sometimes you may have a panel that's going on at the same time, and you kind of have to pick and choose which one you want to go to. So we're going to try and coordinate it where our shows are not overlapping each other, where, you know, you want to watch my show, but you want to watch another show, whatever. I guess nowadays you can. I guess, you know, if you have like 2 or 3 different laptops or two or three different devices, I guess you can do that. But it's going to be kind of hard to be focused on one particular show. So with that being said, we're going to try and coordinate a plan where we can have like a flow of shows on like a certain schedule. You see what I'm saying? But I can't speak for everybody else that's going to be doing whatever they're going to do. But what I can say, what I want to do on my channel that I am going to do, I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to do a deep dive into Mothra vs. Godzilla with myself, Kyle Yount from Collector Monsters, David F. Dotco from Collector Monsters, and William Fett. Hopefully he'll come back. I'm going to do a deep dive into Mothra vs. Godzilla that particular day. And then I'm going to have the whole crew come back. And this is going to be more so an X Plus collectible discussion. And we're going to be devoting our focus onto the 30 centimeter line. We're going to talk about pretty much all the figures from the 30 centimeter line. You know, the 54 Godzilla, 62, 64, 75, 67, 89, even the foes, Mecha Godzilla, Gigan, Space Godzilla, who else? Just the Gargantuas, just a whole bunch of 30 centimeter figures. So that's what we're going to be talking about on that particular weekend, and we'll definitely let you know when that will be. So yes, that's basically the G-Fest announcement that I want to talk about during the course of this show. Now let's focus on the X Plus 30 centimeter 1975 Godzilla. Once again, this guy just came up for a reissue yesterday. I think it's sold out, quite frankly. I think it's going to be sold through, I think, Bandai Premium, and I think the Godzilla store is going to be selling them. The only difference with the reissues that's going to come with light up dorsal plates, but the version is going to be the same Godzilla figure. However, this figure really doesn't have the best reputation in the world. Now, after the 25 centimeter version that came out, which once again wasn't the best figure in the world involved in the 75, in my opinion, this is somewhat of a moderate upgrade. It's not perfect by any means, ladies and gentlemen, but for some reason, a lot of people don't really like this figure. And I want to talk about that for a few seconds. So we're going to get into everybody's individual perspective. So how we're going to do this, since William is gone. So Matt, you can go first, then Phillip, then Butch, then Michael, and just give us your overall thoughts of the 75. Why do you think is hated upon or just not well received amongst the collectors in the fandom?
Okay. First off, over on Awesome Collector, they still have a few spots left open if you want to pre-order or buy now for the 75 Rick that's coming up the reissue. It's the light up. It says there are limited order spots. It's going to be released in October 2020. So if you do want to pick this up, go head over to Awesome Collector and go under X Plus, ships from Japan, and they have all the upcoming stuff coming up for that. For if you do want to get the 75, which I highly recommend. For the longest time, I don't quite understand the backlash, if you want to call it that this figure gets. I really enjoy this figure. Now, I've read different things, I've heard different things. Everyone really wants a 74 Godzilla. That's an awesome looking Godzilla as well, but they decided to go with the 75. Okay, for a couple of reasons, I think I know why they went with the 75. They already have Titanosaurus. They had already done Mechagodzilla 75. So to have Godzilla come out to complete it makes perfect sense. Now, if another way they can look at it is they haven't released a King Caesar yet, 30 centimeter, which hopefully someday they do because King Caesar is awesome. To put that with Mechagodzilla, then do a 74 Godzilla, or release those two around the same time would be awesome as well. As for this figure, I love it. The only thing that ever really got to me, like in a curious manner, was the fingernails and the toenails. Is that they're pretty much black, and I thought that was weird. But then again, that's what the intention was, so I let that go. Then I read that it was the tail that was a problem as well. I like the tail; it's right out of the film. I love the sculpt. I love the look of it. And actually, in some directions, if you hold this actually could look like the fake Mechagodzilla from the 74 film. If you hold it, because the way all the dorsal plates are done, they're more of a silver rather than a bone white. So I enjoy this figure. I went standard. I did not get the Rick because I didn't want to get the extra head for Mechagodzilla. So I got the standard. I enjoy the figure. I don't think I'm really alone on this. I'm looking at the chat, and a lot of people seem to like it. And I got nothing else to say. It completes the Terror of Mechagodzilla line, and all right, I'm done.
Well, Phillip, I know that this design is one of your favorites, if not your most favorite. So I know your take is going to be positive. But what is your take overall of the 75 X plus 30 centimeter Godzilla, and does it deserve the hate that it gets?
I love this figure. Now, I've never seen the 25 in hand, but it didn't look that good to me by pictures and stuff. But I don't see the hate for this figure much at all. I mean, I understand some of the people saying like the gums are too pink or reddish or whatever, especially the bottom gum. Because if you watch the movie, I don't really see that much of that in his mouth. But also the bottom row of teeth on the bottom jaw. In the movie, some of them look a little bit more crooked than they are straight on this figure, but I mean that's about it for me. I mean, I can't find a lot wrong with it. It's great. I love the proportions. I think his proportions are right. I've heard people complain he has small hands, but that don't really bother me that much. I love the figure. It's great. I do want a 74. That'll be awesome. We'll get that eventually. I ain't in no hurry for it. I know we'll get it, but this was definitely a pleasant surprise when it came out a couple years ago, and I've loved it ever since. So,
How about Butch? How about it, Butch? How do you feel?
I like it. I honestly don't see what's wrong with the figure. It's probably the only 75 figure in my entire collection. The only ones that would be closest to it related would be I think I have a Bandai 74, and I have the X Plus 25 centimeter 73 Rick with the Godzilla's mouth closed. All those are only figures I have closely related, but I prefer 30 centimeter, and I see nothing wrong with this figure. I'm glad I got it, and I do want them to make a 73 30 centimeter and a 74 30 centimeter, and I kind of think we're going to get one, at least maybe a 73 because of Megalon coming out, or eventually going to come out. We already got Jet Jaguar, and hopefully we get a new Gigan 73 to go with it as well, new sculpt. But yeah, I see nothing wrong with it, and I like it.
How about you, Michael? How do you feel?
I mean, I don't see where the complaints are with the figure. I think, like everybody else said, I think it's a nice looking figure. I mean, yeah, you can nitpick on things, but overall, it's a nice figure. I mean, you can't, it's not like there's certain ones that you can say, yeah, okay, that one looks horrible, or there's this thing about it, or his face looks, whatever. This one, I mean, you can nitpick, but you can't find like a major problem with it. So I don't see where the hate is for it. I don't really understand that. I mean, the new one coming out, yeah, the light up. Hopefully, they'll be cool because, like like you guys have spoke about the light up for the I forget which figure it was now, but the light ups, they're making them better. So that's something I'm kind of looking to see how it's really going to look in person. It's good. That hopefully looks cool, because they seem to be updating that part of these figures with the LEDs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I look at it, as I mentioned just now, I don't see anything wrong with the figure. Well, I take that back. There are a couple issues that I do have with the figure. Well, actually, I don't have it, but I can see how it can be an issue for somebody else. For one, his height. To me, when you compare him against Mechagodzilla, they're like the same height. And Mechagodzilla was a little bit taller than him in the film, but once again, that's not a major turn off for me. Even though the size, comparison is apparent that Godzilla is a little bit bigger than what he should be, but I still love it overall. And the gums, like his gums is full of color on his bottom jaw. It kind of reminds me of the CC8. Remember, his jaw is kind of like buffed out like that, and he has red underneath his bottom jaw. But aside from that, I don't see anything wrong with this figure. I mean, some people say the hands are too small, but ladies and gentlemen, this is not Gorgo. He doesn't have the hands the size of dump trucks. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really see an issue with that either. Like I said, just the height is a little bit suspect. But then again, when you put him up against Titanosaurus and like what Matt is doing, Titanosaurus is still taller, so you still get a good effect of them sizing up with each other. It's just Mechagodzilla, in my opinion, where you see that this Godzilla is a little bit bigger than what it should be. But aside from that, I enjoy the figure. I don't understand the hate that this figure gets, but at the same time, you like what you like, you like what you don't, you don't like what you don't like, and that's all well and good. But obviously, this figure must be on a lot of people's radar because, as I understand, I think it's sold out on the website, on the Bandai website. And now I guess the only way you can try and get one or snag one is through Awesome Collector. So obviously this figure is not all that bad. But in my opinion, I say go for it. If you want to go for it, please do go for it because ever since he came out, I think late 2017, if I'm mistaken. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
I think so.
He did. He came out around the same time as the gigantic Shin Godzilla, and boy, my wallet would take my black behind then. Oh my god! Oh god! So, but
Leslie, do you have the Billiken?
No,
you don't. Okay.
No, I had it, but somebody wanted it, and I sold it to him.
Okay.
But in my opinion, the Billiken is a little bit more superior than the X Plus. The one thing, at least a couple of things that the Billiken has over the X Plus, the size is better. You can size it better with Mechagodzilla. I think the pose is a little bit better, but The S Plus has the better detail. So they both have their pros and cons, quite frankly.
Right.
Actually, with the 75's head being more of a flat head, the 75's head, the suit was more so rounded. So that's kind of like inaccurate. If anything, if you change the eyes on the 75 right here, you really got yourself like what Matt said, you got the 74. So more likely, if you do get a 74, don't be surprised if they use this sculpt to try and retool it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But to put a bow on the 75 conversation, I think the 75 is a good figure. It could have been great, but it's still a good figure to add to your collection if you still want to grab one. I think it's a solid release, despite those little issues, and that's nitpicking on my part. I think it's a great figure. And once you put him up against Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla to a lesser degree, you have yourself a great image of those three. Now, before we go on to the next topic, collectible wise, which is the delay of the gigantic Mechagodzilla, I want to ask this question. I don't think I've ever asked this question to my crew of folks here. And I want to give a huge shout out to Michael Chakowski from Vampire Robots. He's starting to do the whole live stream thing, and he had a live stream, I want to say April 26th, and he's having another one coming up tomorrow on 2 p.m. Eastern time. So go to his channel, the Michael Chakowski, and you'll see him along with John Bellotti Jr., Robo 7, Nick Shev, and Alexander the Swell, and I think Marty, somebody else. I forget his name. And they're having another show going down tomorrow at 2 p.m. So please check it out on YouTube, Michael Chakowski, Vampire Robots. And on his last show, I asked him and his fellow co-hosts, in their opinion, what is the most overrated Godzilla film? And they got very specific with it, Somebody said he thought that the 1974 was overrated. Some people, I think one guy said, what was overrated? I think David in the chat said both legendary films were overrated. So I want to ask every single one of you guys here, and maybe in the chat, if you hear my voice and you hear the question, pipe down your answer too. In your opinion, what is the most overrated Godzilla film? Meaning, what Godzilla film that a lot of people seem to love or enjoy, but you just don't get it. You don't get the hype behind it, and it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but you still just don't get it. So, in your opinion, we go to Matt, Phillip, Butch, and Michael, then myself. In your opinion, and be brutally honest, and that's why I love having you guys here. I want you to be honest. Don't feel bad. Don't fear that you may lose some subscribers tomorrow morning, but be brutally honest. In your opinion, what is the most overrated Godzilla film that you think is in the franchise? What is the one Godzilla film that you don't get? Say it!
Hang on.
Say it!
No.
Godzilla Train 1090. I agree with you, but I'll say it when it's my turn. But go ahead, Matt.
I'm thinking. I can't. They all have the spot for me that's good or bad. I don't know if overrated is the word I would use. They're all pieces of entertainment, so I don't think I would pick any of them to be overrated. If you're pointing a gun at me right now and I had to pick, fine, Godzilla's Revenge. I mean, but then again, that's fun as well. So I honestly can't pick one. Hedra I love, Gigan, both Mechagodzilla films, Megalon, all the Heisei films except for Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992. Apparently that's very popular. So yeah, there we go. I picked that one. Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992, or sorry, Godzilla vs. Mothra: The Battle for Earth. There, I picked that one.
Phillip, what about you?
Oh, I'm gonna probably get killed. Biollante.
Ooh.
I don't.
Yeah, Michael. Michael's like, ooh.
I don't. Something about that movie, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
But
I know it's loved by a lot of people, but it's just okay for me. It's not, I don't know.
God, even overnight here was like, whoa.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Biollante, the whole thing, but there's just some parts of the movie, like the human story, I don't get it at all. Like I know every movie has that, but I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Butch, what about you?
I think I've told you this before, and I think it's safe to say because I don't see Sandra, so GMK.
No.
That's all I'm gonna say. So I live.
Well, you're safe because she's not here, but unfortunately, this will be on the internet until the end of time. So.
No, man.
How about you, Michael? How do you feel? The most overrated Godzilla film, or the film you just don't get?
Like Matt said before, I mean, I don't know if it would be overrated. I just never got Megaguirus. That film just, I don't know. To me, it was a Bachelor wannabe and stuff. I don't know.
Oh my God, Bachelor wannabe. You know what? I feel you on that. I feel you on that because when it comes to the Millennium series, a lot of people talk about GMK, except for Butch. Then you have Godzilla 2000. Then you have the over-the-top train wreck, which is Final Wars. But Megaguirus is one of those films that, to me, is like Sea Monster. It's one of those films that doesn't get talked about a lot. To me, it's like an uncut gem. But I understand a hidden gem, but I understand that where you don't really get it. And I could be objective. Even when I watch the film, I enjoy it. It's my second favorite from the Millennium series. But I can understand looking at it from another person's perspective why it won't be like something that grabs your attention when you think of great Godzilla films. So I understand that. I definitely understand that.
Because like 2000, I mean, I like it, but it just like, because it was the first in that series, so you're like, and then Megaguirus just didn't do it for me. And then when, like, Godzilla X Mechagodzilla or Tokyo SOS, I thought those were better in that, those films that were kind of in that continuity, but GMK and Final Wars were cool for different reasons, outside of that continuity in there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of course, everybody knows my pick for overrated. And ladies and gentlemen, when I say overrated, and I think I speak on behalf of my co-host here, when we say overrated, this is something that we just don't get. We don't really understand the hype behind our particular selections. It doesn't make us less of a Godzilla fan than you are because you may like the film or you may enjoy it or you may love it, blah, blah, blah. But there are certain films that will grab people and there are certain films that will not grab people. And to me, in my opinion, the most overrated Godzilla film is Destroy All Monsters. I love the film. The music is awesome. It was great seeing all the monsters back, even though a few of them were puppets and really didn't get a proper appearance in the film. But I hear a lot of folks say that they have so many monsters that automatically equates it to being the best Godzilla film, one of the greatest. Now, I will admit, the final battle with King Ghidorah, even though as a King Ghidorah fan, I hate it because they curb stomped him to the ground. I didn't like that. But if you're going to say that, if you're going to say that this film is the best because it has all these different monsters, then you should look at Final Wars as the best, quite frankly. And Final Wars had even more monsters, if you really think about it. So, but yes, overrated. I just find Destroy All Monsters really overrated, considering what they boasted what the film was going to be. Like, we have all these monsters that's going to destroy the world, various locations around the world, and the monster action is really kind of minimal. We really think about it. And at the very end, the film doesn't end with the death of King Ghidorah. It ends with the SY3 taking out the freaking peanut butter cup flying saucer. So, and for me, that's my reason for finding it overrated. And honestly, we all know that it was going to be the last Godzilla film. And I have to ask every single one of you guys, if the Godzilla films ended with Destroy All Monsters, considering what we know that has happened since then, satisfied? Yes or no?
No.
Meaning no 74, no Terror
Right.
Godzilla, no 84, no Destroyer, no GMK, no Monsterverse, no nothing. If you ended with Destroy All Monsters, would you have been satisfied? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No,
So that's what I'm saying. No 84. Remember, Destroy All Monsters was going to be the last film. So let's say they ended it with that film. That means nothing happened. No Hedra, Gigan, Mechagodzilla 84, Destroyer, GMK, Final Wars, Shin Godzilla never happened. So if it would have ended with Destroy All Monsters, would you have been happy? Yes or no? Consider what that film turned out to be in the end.
Oh.
No.
Exactly. So that's my whole point. So that's my pick for overrated. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, these are just our opinions. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going to have different opinions, and it doesn't make us wrong. It's just that we're not always going to feel the same way about the same thing. And you know what? That's the best thing about being in the world today. Diversity, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great thing. It really is a great thing. Now, let's move on to the next topic, and we probably won't spend too much time on this. The delay of the X Plus Gigantic Series Mechagodzilla. Now, that figure was supposed to drop. Mind you, that has been the most anticipated figure for me for this year, and it was supposed to drop around this time. But now we got told that's going to be pushed towards late June, going into July. So I'm going to ask y'all, how do y'all feel about that? Hold on a second. Go ahead, Phil. I mean, Matt. Go ahead.
It sucks, but you know the world has stopped spinning because of all the nonsense. So we just gotta deal with it. Hopefully they get things rolling. There's a lot of things that are getting pushed back and on hold. I have a bunch of things. I have 2 things from Hobby Search I'm still waiting on. I'm sure everyone else has things from Hobby Search still waiting on. They didn't wait to take the money, but you know they're sure going to take enough time to send the stuff though. Probably won't get that stuff till August if they remember. Hopefully they do, but it sucks. At this point, I'm glad I didn't do a pre-order on it, because if it's going to pre-order and they're just going to hold on to it, then and take the money, it would just make me angry. So it sucks, and I know you've been waiting for it. I know a lot of people are waiting on it. It looks awesome. I remember seeing it back when they announced the '89 Godzilla. We've all been waiting. I remember a couple of live streams. I think sometime back in November we were talking about. It's anticipated. It looks good, and then they show the painted version of it. It looked even better, and yeah, it sucks, but we just gotta deal with it, unfortunately.
All right, Phil, go for it. I know you have been highly anticipating this figure, so go for it.
Yeah, it's not good, but I'm like Matt. I've got the Sakai 84 still in Japan. I got the Gamera 99 Battle Damage still in Japan. I've paid for the D4Real 99 in Orga, and they haven't even shipped them. I emailed them, and they said they're just holding the figures until they can ship them. Then they will ship them. So I have those 2 paid for. I have the Star Ace 30 centimeter Lycan, the werewolf from the Underworld movies. I ordered one of those. I got several things that Hobby Search just said we're just holding on to it until we can mail it, and then we'll send them. So I guess I'll just get a mass dump, I guess. And I think that's what they're going to do with Mechagodzilla. They're just going to take your money and hold it, which is frustrating. Very, very frustrating. That drives me nuts. But the shipping options they offer says 1 to 3 months. So by that time, they might be shipping EMS in another couple weeks. Who knows? So I'm just selecting EMS shipping, and hopefully it comes sooner than later. So it's kind of frustrating, but especially to me, when I seen the Mechagodzilla painted, to me it was figure of the year. I know I ain't got it in my hand. I know I haven't got my Sakai 84, but it's screamed figure of the year for me. So it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I'm
thing,
sorry.
That's
And this,
that
you have
thing.
to have this guy in your hand. Phil, you have to, and trust me, I understand. I get your anticipation for Mechagodzilla. I'm in the same boat, but seriously, you need to have this guy in your hands. And not trying to say that Mechagodzilla won't be the figure of the year, because he more than likely may be. But this guy right now, in my opinion, is the figure to beat. So once you get it in your hands, hopefully it'll be here before you know it. But yeah, once you get it, yeah, you'll definitely understand.
I know some people have been getting it too, though. I mean, string it, seems like a person or two every week gets it, and I check my tracking daily and it hasn't changed, so it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I know some people are getting there. I think it's slowly but surely. They're starting to ship out packages from Japan. Because mind you, with EMS, what they did was they piggyback off the flights that would go in and out of Japan on a routine basis. But since those flights have been whittled down to pretty much nothing,
right,
and there's obviously a backlog of packages that have been sitting in the warehouse waiting to get on a particular flight or just a flight in general. So some have been getting there, some have not been getting theirs. But Japan did lift the state of emergency, I think, last week. So things may start to progress. I don't suggest that all of a sudden that things gonna get back to normal as things were before the pandemic started. But hopefully, maybe this will start to move things along, where instead of waiting for like a month and a half for a figure, you may wait like 2 or 3 weeks. But still, it's not the best circumstance in the world, but it's better than nothing. So,
well, it's like
only
we
time
said,
will tell with that.
You just enjoy what you have. So, in the meantime, enjoy what you got. So,
yeah,
that's the way I look at it. So,
enjoy what you got. Yeah. So, Butch, how do you feel about the gigantic Mechagodzilla? Are you going to get it, or was that something that's on your radar to get, or you just don't care either way?
I'm not getting it. I didn't pre-order it, but I do feel sorry for everyone who has to wait, especially when they're taking your money and you still got to wait and they keep pushing it back. And because, I've been kind of feeling the same way about Kong, but I know I'm going to get it pretty soon. The Kong Star Ace Kong 2.0. That'll be coming soon. I know that, but I didn't have any plans to get the gigantic Mechagodzilla. So, but my sympathies for everyone who has to wait for it.
How about you, Michael? Are you going for it?
I'm not going for it, but like he said, I understand everybody's concern. That's a chunk of money to have tied up on something. But with everything going on, so we got to wait a little longer. I mean, I've been dying to get the Star Ace Kong. I know it's coming. It's just taking a little longer. It should hopefully be coming next week, I think. Fingers crossed. But it's just, with the sign of the times, it's just we have to wait a little longer for our stuff, and I'm fine with that if, that's the case. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I read on Facebook. I think one guy contacted Hobby Search, and I think Hobby Search said that I think they're trying to look into DHL as an alternate shipping method if the EMS situation is not improved by the time the Mechagodzilla comes out. But even still, DHL is going to be a lot more expensive than EMS.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But a lot of people tend to think that because it's so high up in price, especially for a box the size of a gigantic series figure, that it may not be worth all that. But with me, I'm not collecting like I normally do anyway, so I have more money to free up. And since that figure is the one I've been most anticipating this year, I don't mind throwing a few more dollars, just make sure I have it sooner rather than later. But hopefully we will have answers to that once it comes out. Hopefully it won't be any delays or anything like that. And once I get gigantic Mechagodzilla, once a lot of people get gigantic Mechagodzilla, I say around August or September. Not trying to say the figure's gonna come out that late, but I say around August, September, I want to do a live stream devoted to Mechagodzilla, all the films, all the collectibles. We ain't covering the anime, so I'm just letting you know right now we ain't doing that. So if you have a problem with that, I'm sorry. We're not gonna cover the anime. So, William, we're talking about the delay of the gigantic Mechagodzilla. Before we move on to pretty much the final topic, so how do you feel about the gigantic Mechagodzilla? Are you going to get it? Was it something that you was going to get if you're not getting it? So how you feel about that?
Overall, it looks like an amazing figure. I think the paint app and everything else like that does a wonderful job for that figure. When it first was shown, like unpainted, I think everybody was kind of like, maybe. But then when it finally was shown painted, I think people really, if you collected gigantic, I think people really jumped on it at that moment. I hope that maybe it comes with something, because I think just kind of standing there kind of straight, like it's almost like in the base, you know, like how it was before takeoff, is kind of a little boring. But I hope it, you know, maybe there's something else going to go on with that. But I'm not picking it up personally. The gigantic series is not something that I've gotten into in the past. There's really only one figure that would get me into it, and that's a Showa Gigan. So, you know, but it still looks great. I know the whole delay, I mean, I think we're all dealing with that in one way or the other. You know, I just got my 84 maybe last week. You know, it's been over, I don't know, feels like a month when it was supposed to come to me. But it's just the way it is now. And I think when you're doing ordering, I think everyone's kind of pausing to see if they can maybe find a figure off eBay or another website, you know, Awesome Collector, you know, Flossie's Gifts, like any way that they can kind of get it, you know, because I think just how much of a delay it's been and the uncertainty of, is this figure going to come, you know, at all, you know, or will you have that fear of it's going to get lost, you know, in transit, all that kind of stuff. So I get that. You know, and I've seen some people, I've heard in other like little, you know, smaller groups on Facebook that some people have lost things, you know, while they've been waiting for things to ship. Like all of a sudden it just disappears, you know. So that's always worrisome, especially if we're talking about a gigantic where you're putting a good chunk of money down. You know, you're still putting a good chunk of money down no matter what when it comes to X Plus, but a gigantic, that's a lot of money to put down for a figure. And I totally understand everyone's concern about that. You know, you want to get it safely to you as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. And once again, I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, if it comes down to it, they do offer DHL, and it happens to be a little bit more than what I was prepared to spend. As long as it's not too much or too extravagant, as long as it's not like maybe $250, something like that. Like I'll do $2, because I paid almost that much to get the gigantic Shin and the gigantic 2019 here, so I don't mind paying that amount around that neighborhood to get Mechagodzilla here. But only time will tell. Hopefully the situation has improved with the EMS. Of course, what's more important is the safety of people, quite frankly. In the grand scheme of things, collectibles is not really that important. But as long as people get better, the world gets better, then everything else can fall into place. But yeah, I'd rather have Mechagodzilla sooner rather than later. So we're gonna go. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go into the last topic because it's going on 7:30. I want to have these guys done in like 20-something minutes. And of course, we're talking about the last topic, which is the announcement of the X Plus 25 centimeter 2019 Godzilla. And of course, you know, we're really excited about that figure. Not to mention the potential other figures that may come in response to him. But just be mindful, ladies and gentlemen. The 2019 25 centimeter just got announced, I think, a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. It's pretty much almost sold out, I think, almost everywhere, unless you want to go to Awesome Collector and a couple other places. But I think it's pretty much sold out, both standard and the Rick. I'm going Rick. But also keep in mind, it's supposed to come out in August. Not to mention the favorite sculptors line Gamma is supposedly dropping in August. Iris is supposedly dropping in August. Was there something else that's dropping in August? I don't really think about any. I don't really think of anything. So I know some people have double dip. Who?
I said, is the new Godzilla 75 for Terra? Is that dropping in August? I thought that was. I could be wrong.
I thought that was September.
Yeah,
October.
October. October.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
When is it? When is it? October?
I think so.
Is October? Okay. Well, but anyways, I know some people have even double dipped on the 2019. They're going Rick and Standard. And so just be mindful of your pre-order, ladies and gentlemen, because, you know, those pre-orders are going to come no matter what. So if you pre-order it, if you're locked in for one, just be mindful of what you're pre-ordering. And supposedly 2019, Gamma and Iris are all dropping in August. So make sure you have your money ready. So I guess the question is, which one are you going for if you're getting it? And then we'll go into what other figures they may follow on top of that. So we'll go with William, Phillip, Matt, Michael, and then Butch. So William, the floor is yours. Go for it.
So I am actually not picking up the 25 centimeter, only because I don't collect 25 centimeter figures unless I need to. So like King Ghidorah, Biollante, you know, all those kind of figures, Destroya, because they're never going to be made on a 30 centimeter. But let me just say this. I think the Rick option is definitely the way to go. Like, it looks stunning. That blue, everything about it, like, just looks amazing. It is truly a stunning piece. And I'm sure everyone who collects, you know, 25 or 2019 figures it's just gonna look great. The exciting thing is obviously now they're starting King of the Monsters. And I think everyone's kind of been waiting for that, because really the only thing that they've released from that film in great quantity is the Defo Reel line. You know, right now, if you want a Rodan from X Plus from King of the Monsters, it's only in the Defo Reel line that you can get it. So I think this is the start of them releasing the King of the Monsters series of figures. You know, then they're going to start with Godzilla. Assuming at some point we're going to probably see Ghidorah, Rodan. I'm interested to see how they're going to do King Ghidorah. I mean, they've always done such great jobs with them. You know, I think that's going to look great. Rodan is probably the one that will end up being the best, just because I think the Defo Reel overall for Rodan, especially the Rick option, was really good. You know, so I'm excited about that. But if once those figures start coming in the 30 centimeter, I might consider picking those up. You know, overall.
All right, Phil. How do you feel? And that rhymes. Go for it.
That figure, is it me or does it look really big? Like, I've seen a picture of a guy holding it. It looks really big for a 25 centimeter figure, but I'm kind of in a holding pattern on ordering things because all my collecting's based on my overtime, and my overtime's gone right now, and I have to think about my bills first. So,
of course,
I'm kind of in a holding pattern. I'm going to try to order that Gamera because that thing looks amazing, but everything else I might kind of hold off and just see what happens. Some people think our overtime is going to come back pretty soon. So if it does, then of course I'll change, but I have to worry about my bills first. Then this stuff is secondhand. So, but that thing does look really awesome. And and as big as it is, like William said, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Ghidorah, especially because of the size of that Godzilla, because it looked really big to me, really, really big. So, but it is impressive looking. And I would say Rick would be the way to go because it looks like he's the supercharged Godzilla because he's got the blue and the cracks of his skin and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So it does look neat though.
Man, I kind of figured where you're going with this, so go for it.
So I already pre-bought the Rick. I took one look at this one picture of it, and I pre-bought it. I was thinking about double dipping and getting the standard because this is not a 25 centimeter. This is actually a 27 centimeter. So yes, it is a little bigger than the normal 25 centimeters. It's probably been around the same size as like a Yuji Sakai, like the 91, or I guess the 92. But then I looked up and I looked at the Gigantic, and the Gigantic kind of covers all the bases that the standard was going to cover. So I thought there's no point of owning both versions of the upcoming one. So I just stuck with just the Rick. It looks awesome. I can't wait for it. As far as going elsewhere, I can see a Mothra. I can see a Rodan. As far as Ghidorah, I would like to see a 30 centimeter Ghidorah to pair with this 27 centimeter Godzilla. If they make another 25 centimeter or like a 27 centimeter Ghidorah, I think it's going to be a little different. But I'd like to see even bigger than Godzilla like it is in the film. So I'd like to see that as a 30 centimeter.
Michael, how do you feel?
I think it looks great. I'm probably not going to get it, but if I did, I would probably go Rick, just because it looks awesome in that color, with the blue and everything. Like he just said with Ghidorah, I think if they were going to do Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah in the regular figures, Ghidorah has to be a 30 centimeter for size purpose. They did that with the Shin stuff, where they did the smaller ones in, the first, the second form, third form, and so forth, in the smaller sizes, 25 and 25 and 30, and then Shin was in the gigantic, and that sized them together. I think they have to do that with Ghidorah. I mean, in a weird way, had they put maybe Godzilla as a 30 centimeter and then had Ghidorah as a gigantic, that would have worked probably in some ways from a size standpoint. But since they went with 25 centimeter, I think 30 centimeter has to be for Ghidorah to match up properly, and stuff like that.
You know what? That's the thing about the 30 centimeter Ghidorah. A lot of people are asking for that. I just think that logistic wise or just production wise, it's going to be kind of hard for them to do a 30 centimeter Ghidorah. And on top of that, not too many people are going to have the money to pay for it. Because if you see what these kits go for, like a 30 centimeter Ghidorah, you're talking about like $600, $700, and that's for the kit not painted. Then you have to pay somebody to build and paint it. Now, for X Plus to go into it, they're going to charge out the yin for something like that. And I think that they've been really cautious when it comes to with his wings all big, like the 64, the 68. Now, with the GMK and Death Ghidorah and Kaiju Ghidorah, his wings are not as big and massive. They go up into the sky. Now, with the MonsterVerse versions, this is the biggest Ghidorah that they have ever done, as far as its overall sheer size, right? So his wings will be even more so bigger. So I think out of all the monsters that they can do the 25 centimeter line, Ghidorah is going to probably be like the most difficult one, obviously, and probably the last one that they're going to try to attempt to do because of the issues that the supposedly past Ghidorahs had. Not trying to say that it would never happen, but I don't see X Plus really rushing to get that figure done because of the issues that happened to prior Ghidorahs, if that makes any sense. Butch, are you getting the 2019 25 later?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
I was going to say, they're supposed to be coming out with Art Spirits Ghidorah. So I'm kind of curious to see what that turns out, because it should be comparable to their Godzilla. So if they can do it and it works and, that whole part, then I think X Plus can certainly do that. I mean, theirs probably be a little bit bigger than what Art Spirits is doing, but if Art Spirits is successful with it, then I think X Plus could do it.
You can always have Ghidorah also on his wings. I mean, that's another big difference between the Ghidorahs, this Ghidorah with all the other ones, is that you can maybe make a 30 centimeter King Ghidorah, but not have his wings open. Sort of like the Defo Reel version. You kind of have him crawling on his wings like how he kind of does. I think people would kind of be disappointed with that because I think people do like his giant wings open. But that would be a way to kind of get around the 30 centimeter issue with Ghidorah. And it's only
I think there was a discussion in the X Plus group with that. Somebody, was saying, which way do you want him? Do you want him on, a wing walker versus, the full standing with wings out? Yeah.
Eric Henry and I poked fun at him.
Yes.
because he said that he said to save money, he would prefer that maybe X Plus do a King Ghidorah, like what William said with his with his wings all folded. But to me, even though that's what we saw in the film, to me, King Ghidorah wouldn't look right with his wings all folded in. I prefer him, King Ghidorah, with his wings all out. Even the ones like I mentioned earlier with GMK, Death Ghidorah, whatever, his wings are still not folded, but they're still like outwards. Now, I can understand if S Plus does that from a logistical standpoint to maybe drive down the cost of what an open wing Ghidorah would be. But even still, like if they were to do that, that would probably turn me off to buy one because I'm not going to buy a King Ghidorah with his wings all folded. Now, could they do a standard King Ghidorah like that and maybe have the Rick with his wings open? Maybe. But I just think that with the issues that they have had with King Ghidorah in the past, I just don't see S-Plus touching that anytime soon. I really don't. Which actually leads into my second question, and which leads me to what I want them to make next from the 25 centimeter line. I think we all can agree with this. I think the next monster they should make from the MonsterVerse, from that movie, 25 centimeter, Rodan. I think they should make Rodan next. They should definitely make Rodan next. That's how I feel about it. William, go for it. What monster should they make next behind Godzilla in the 25 centimeter MonsterVerse line from King of the Monsters? Should it be Rodan, Mothra, or King Ghidorah, or whoever?
I would say Rodan as well. I think Rodan makes the most sense. I would like to see maybe a flying version of that in some way. You know, I know this would be difficult, but I would love to see them do a light up with his wings. So it almost looks like, you know, because how it's always has that like fire tint to it. Like his wings always look like they're on fire. Do something along those lines, like LED lights that kind of glow in that way. I think that would look really good. You know, I would love to see. I think Rodan, I think, is what everyone would like to see. Because I think Rodan actually turned out to be a favorite from the film. I think everyone really did enjoy him. On a side note, I wouldn't mind a Muto, you know, or maybe one of those smaller ones. I would like to see like the ones that are all at the end. I think maybe one of those might be good, or Behemoth. You know, a little something like that, but definitely Rodan.
How about you, Phil?
Yeah, probably Rodan. I think they'll save Ghidorah for last. Probably Rodan, and then Mothra. The D4Real line, I agree Rodan's been the best, but I feel like that Mothra is going to be an underdog when that thing it's getting ready to come out. That D4Real Mothra, I think, is going to be surprisingly good, at least from the pictures. If it stands up to the pictures, I think it's going to be surprisingly good. So a 25 centimeter Mothra, that'll be cool too. But that Rodan will be neat. That version of Rodan's my second favorite now. The 56 is my favorite, and then the 2019. So I love how they did Rodan. So I'd say Rodan, then Mothra, then the Ghidorah.
Man, if you were in charge, what would you do? Or who would you do first?
Yeah, I have a soft spot for the 2019 Mothra, and I'd like to see her next. However, I would do something drastically different with her. For the Rick option, I would have her with a standard paint job. However, I would overpaint it a little bit with some like fluorescent colors, and the base that would hold her up would actually have like a small, like kind of like a black light or LED light, however that would work. So the light would actually shine up through the base, and then you can buy those really cheap, like online. You can make your own lights, and when it shines upward, that blue light that shines upward, it actually, you know, makes Mothra look like she's glowing, like she's coming out of the waterfall for the first time, or like she's in the air with shining a rainbow down, looking where Godzilla is. So I can see several things with Mothra. If they were going to do a second, then of course Rodan, save Ghidorah for last. If they were going to do like something else, I'd like to see a Muto as well. I don't know if I would do the 2014 Muto, even though that would go great with the Rick 2014 Godzilla. But if they were going to do a Muto, then the 2019 Muto, that was like an alpha Muto, and a lot more armor plating, a lot more texture to it, so that'd be awesome. Either of those. But mostly I'd like to see the Mothra. Or a Mothra. Not the Mothra.
Michael, what about you?
I'm thinking Rodan next. They probably go in the same process they did with the D4 reels. So I think Rodan is probably the next one, then Mothra, and then King Ghidorah is going to be probably the last one, like everybody else said. If they did a Behemoth, I think that would actually be really cool too. But I don't know if they're going to do those other monsters like that. I mean, maybe the Muto, because he's had at least 2 appearances, but Behemoth is like kind of the favorite of those other guys. So I would love to see that.
All right, Butch, go for it.
I think Rodan or Mothra is probably going to be next. I think because I think they're going to take their time with King Ghidorah to like decide how they're going to release them, like with probably the open wings or the folded wings, like it could be a Rick option, you know, folded wings open or whatever. Because I think they did it with the 25 centimeter Gauss. The Rick Gauss had the wings closed, and then the standard Gauss had the wings open, but they both came with that little ice space for his foot to help him stand up. But they could do that, or I wouldn't mind seeing a Behemoth as well. And I didn't get to say it, but I am going to double dip on both of 2019 because I do like the Rick option for it. I think the blue fin for the Godzilla. It seems like they're going to start doing that now with like the Ricks now, like because the '84 Godzilla has the Sakai has the blue fins. It looks like they're going to start doing that with them now. The 2019 is going to have the blue fins, Rick. And when I saw the standard version for the 2019, I wasn't going to get it at first, but then I thought, you know, though I love the way the paint job looks on that, and to me, it looked like the ending of the movie where after Godzilla defeats the last King Ghidorah head in his mouth, and then all the other monsters come and bow to him. That's what that paint job reminded me of. So that's why I actually double dipped on that 2019 Godzilla. But I think Rodan might be next.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that Rodan will be, and probably, quite frankly, should be next. Nothing against the MonsterVerse Mothra. Just I kind of feel like the way Sandra feels, the way she described it earlier. It's just something about Mothra I just can't get into. Maybe because I love the Showa version so much, that's kind of hard to see something so drastically different. But then again, you know, when you have Godzilla and you have drastic takes on Godzilla, like the Burning Godzilla, Godzilla 2000, Shin Godzilla. But for Mothra, I don't know. There's some type of disconnect. I don't hate the design. I mean, I don't hate the monster, but I'm just not into it as much as a lot of folks are at this point. And I think, as far as like a monster that I would definitely invest in for the 25 centimeter line, courtesy of the MonsterVerse or King of the Monsters in particular, I would do Road